Oh, shit!
What?
No, come back! Come back! Hey, what's up, Reefers? Just got back from Coachella. It was an amazing time. That video may take a little bit to cut together. I'm hoping to get it done next week, but lots of footage, lots of great times. Met a lot of you. Fantastic. Today, it's going to be about the Mystery Reef Box. For those of you who do not know, Mad Hatter Reef Jeff actually created this project. The elephant in the room is that there is actually another aquarium box business out there, but of course, competition is always great for the consumer, and there's always space for more innovation in the hobby. For those of you who are not familiar with the box subscription kind of business, it's basically you pay a fee, and then every week they will send you a box with a collection of different items in the box. So let's open it up and see what comes in this month's Mystery Reef Box. So first and foremost, there is a packing list with this month's box. There is actually a 10% off code, August AUGU10 for 10% off if you decide to subscribe. Oh, this is cool. It says for every Mystery Reef Box, we donate $1 to the Coral Restoration Foundation. That's cool. In the back, there's advertisement for Algae Bond of a contest they're running as well. And here we got a flyer that talks a little bit more about the Coral Restoration Foundation. I believe I talked to them a little bit as well before. Fantastic organization. We have a sticker for the Mystery Reef Box. Oh, very cool. You may not think too much of it. This is to use to organize wires. Funny thing is that when I was actually putting the controller together, they gave us some of these guys, and I thought, man, I would love to buy these individually because these are actually really useful. Over here we have coral plugs. So there's unbagging within a unboxing. So these fry plugs are enhanced with calcium and magnesium to aid corals in rapid and secure growth. I have not tried these, so I cannot say whether they work or not, but the consistency is different. It's different from the ceramic fry plug that I'm used to. It's a little bit more, seems a little bit more fragile. So maybe there's something to it. Supposedly it boosts calcium and magnesium, and since it's in contact with the coral, maybe there's something to it. Interesting. We got the Coral Frenzy 1mm reef pellets. I actually have a couple of these, thanks to Richard of Aficionado. Good stuff. This is good stuff, so I'm really happy to see this in this box. Reef Primer, Coral Conditioner.
Like the sound. Sing a song.
Oh me, oh my, I've lost my homework. It's been gone since yesterday. Oh, Reef Primer will clean away zoanthid eating nudibranch, Mondipora eating nudibranch, Acapora eating. Basically, it's a dip. It's a coral dip. I don't want to say, maybe it's similar to like Coral RX and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I gotta do a little bit more read up on it. But it's from Polyp Lab, and they are known for good products. All right, next up we got Fritz Complete Full Spectrum Water Conditioner. Instantly remove ammonia, chlorine, and chloramines and detoxify nitrates. I may not get too much use of since I have an LDI filtering system, so the water that comes out of this should be pretty clean. But when I use water for my freshwater tank, this may actually come in handy. Good products, although not super useful when it comes to a reef tank, especially for somebody who already has an RDI system. But for my freshwater tank, I think I can put this to use. And lastly, we got a big bag here. ME Coral. I visited the booth at Reproduce, I remember. This is their bio pellets, which is really cool. Personally, I have not really used any bio pellets up to this point. I've mostly been using like Marine Pure blocks or spheres, but I know there's a lot of people still use bio pellets. I may put this to use in an XLO tank. So this is actually, now that I think about it, this is actually something that I can use.
I thought you were doing giveaway. Oops.
According to the price breakdown, this box value is about $58, and that's not even counting the e-coral, the wire wrap. Cost to subscribe, if you do month to month, is $45. 3 months is $132, and 6 months is $258. And I know Jeff, Mad Hatter's Reef, is really well connected. He works with a lot of different big companies, so I'm sure the stuff that comes in the box is going to be getting better and better. This is already a really good start. So with that said, that is this month's Mystery Reef Box. Huge thanks to Jeff for sending this out for me to share with you guys what comes in the box. Are you guys ready to see what I feed my reef tank? Let's take a look. Alright guys, let's talk about food. We're gonna talk about dry food and frozen food. I'm gonna talk about dry food first. The bulk of my feeding comes on frozen food these days, but I have a lot of different experiences with dry food, so come check it out. Guys, first I have to apologize for the lighting because the tank is right next to here, so it's all blue. But let me just go over a lot of the stuff that I have. I'm one of those guys that like to try different things, but I'll tell you the ones that I tend to go to. The flake food that I really like is the prime reef. And if you just look online, this is pretty much what a lot of people feed the reef tank. They just come highly recommended, and if you look at the extra protein and stuff like that, it just knocks it out of the park. And my fish also love them a lot. Unfortunately, the bottle I have is all kind of crushed up. I only got those little flakes left. It used to be like big pieces, but it still works. And all the fish go crazy for it. All right, so now if you want to swing back here, sometimes when I'm in a hurry, like I mentioned, I like to feed dry food, but I would mix it up sometimes. Sometimes I like the PE pellets, right? Fish really responds well to these as well. Also the shrimps especially. It sounds really weird, the freshwater shrimp. They actually really like these guys. And of course, I pick up some other food like the Luna Spectra. This is for finicky fish. I forgot exactly which fish I got this for, but unfortunately the fish did not like it. And the other fish kind of lukewarm with it. So it has been just kind of sitting here. Back here we got the cobalt flake. These are good, but I think the prime reef is better than the cobalt. I'm sorry, cobalt. Just stating fact. And once in a while I do like to throw in the seaweed pellets as well, just mixing up a little bit, and my fish seems to like these as well, but not as much as they like the prime reef. So prime reef in terms of flakes or pellets is still kind of my go-to. Although there is a new contender. This year, Richard from Aficionado turned me on to TDO Chroma Boost. My fish also goes crazy for this, and I know that the quality is fantastic here. The reason this food is so good because like it really enhanced the color, the red and the white of the different fish. Richard was telling me that he got a lot of different expensive rods. That's why he really cares about how the color display is, and TDO Chroma Boost really help with that. By the way, before I go on, none of these are sponsored. For the most part, I spend my own money to buy these, or my friend kind of gave them to me to try out. For example, Richard shipped me this. So just want to bring that up front. The only thing I got from this session that was free was the phytoplankton that I'll show you a little bit later on, and the raffle items I won. But for the most part, all these out of my pocket, so these are all my honest opinion. So moving on to coral dried food.
Show me the kitty.
All right, stop it. Is nothing sacred? Okay, come here. All right, so for coral food, as you can see, I have a bunch of different coral food here. Again, I'm just one of those guys that like to try different product. If I hear it's good, I try it. Off the gate, I would say Reef Roids. At first I was a little hesitant because everybody seems to be like Reefer. I thought it was like a marketing thing, but it's true, corals do like it. Reef Chili. I seem to see pretty good response from my corals by using Reef Chili as well. This is the BLS brand. It comes with a cool little spoon, and I like to mix this up as well. And the next thing I really like is actually this right here. Supreme Reef Band turned me onto this. Fauna Marines LPS Grow and Color. What these are, because like not a lot of people are familiar with this, it's actually little pellets that after you soak it up and soften it up, you can feed them to your LPS. In my case, I like to feed these to my Fehedendro if I do not have time to deal with frozen food, so this works out really well as well. Besides these three items, I have other things like the Coral Frenzy. These are powder food, as well as the Coral Grub from Aquamax. They all work, but for the most part, I turn to these three, or these two specifically, but I would mix some of these other powder food in there as well. Thus you see a layer of dust collecting at the top.
Ew.
But they are all good, but for me personally, for just the corals I keep, these three seems to get the most response, so I tend to stick to them. So that is pretty much all the dry food that I feed. Like I mentioned before though, whenever I could, I stick to frozen, and for that, follow me to the fridge.
Ree! The underwear! Look!
No, chill.
Look, the kitty!
Chill.
Show me the kitty!
Chill. So in my fridge, I have my special.
Is that a
section.
secret?
Alright, ever since Emily came in here, my fridge became really packed before it was really empty.
Stop it.
So at the top, we got a bunch of coral food. First of all, we got the axolotls food. This is food for axolot. And next up, actually, let me bring it over. Why don't you go wait for me? Oh.
Yes.
Oh yeah, check these out. So we won these in Taiwan, this little ball twisting thing. They got these cool little axolot magnets, right? And of course we got this cool merch, cool swag for the channel. This is giant magnet as well. These are not for sale, I'm just kind of giving them out whenever I go to events. And of course Taiwan went to Green Island videos. Probably will come out in half a year. All right, let's go back to the tank. I'll bring the bottles out to you.
Moments later.
All right, guys, so I'm a big fan of broadcast feeding because I'm lazy. To help me with that, I have a whole host of Reef nutrition products. I got started with these products from a raffle. Basically, my Reef Club has raffle every single meeting, and one time I got really lucky and won all these 4 products. And these are actually, yes, she got really lucky. And 3 of these 4 products are actually the ones I really want to try, but they're kind of costly. So since like half a year ago, I've been just using these bottles and it lasted me quite a while. I'm gonna start dosing them. I'm gonna explain like how they help the reef tank, what eats them and stuff like that. But to do that, we're gonna turn off the return pump because I don't want it to go into the sump and get skimmed out. I usually like to go from the smallest particle to the largest. So I will start with the DT Phyto first. And I like to shake it up first. DT Phyto is mainly, actually it's for a lot of things, but for me it's mainly for the clam right here. Because I have like 2 or 3 failed attempts with the clam, and one of the reasons is because like the clam was really small, so it did not get enough energy.
Wow,
I just kind of
that's a lot.
drop it in there. So Phyto is mainly for the clam and some of the filter feeder, like feather duster and stuff like that, who needs a finer particle. And you'll see that later on, the clam is gonna start going like this. That means it's like sucking food into the body. The oyster feast is actually, oh look at that, it just kind of just went like this.
Ooh.
So the next one is the oyster feast. This is actually a really good particle size. It's kind of like on the small side, but not so small. So a lot of things take advantage of the oyster feast, including the clam. So I know there's like a best amount that tells you like how many drips you do, but you know, Inappropriate Reefer. And next up we got ROE. This is just a mix of this different like eggs from like fish and inverts, and these are good for like fish, LPS, NPS. NPS meaning non-photosynthetic corals. And again, we'll shake it up. We'll look for the flow, and then we'll drop it in the flow so it distributes to the tank. Okay, so these are the really small particles that like different corals and clam can take advantage of. Now we get into slightly larger things. We get into Arctic pods. And again, we drop it into the flow. Same thing with the mysis. Now this is essentially PE mysis, except it's not frozen, it's in liquid form. And technically, I should pretty much target feed these guys to say like the fathead dendro I'm trying to feed and stuff like that. But since I'm kind of lazy, and I think a lot of things in the tank can take advantage of it, I just kind of dose into the water column as well. So I just kind of let it go like this, and usually I will kind of mix in a little bit of Reeferoids for good measure, because I could, you know. I feel like whatever I dosed before should be enough, but I think like the more different size of food, different type I add in there, the better. And I just mix it like this. And usually I do this once or twice a week. There's no set schedule. It's pretty much just like whenever I remember to do it, and whenever I have time. Time is really hard to come by these days. Whenever I have time, I just kind of like broadcast feed like this heavily. And that's why I'm keeping like softies and LPS and stuff like that. Hardy coral likes dirty water. So as you can see, things are just working. They're all capturing, they're all like, yeah, food! So now let me go defrost some of the frozen food, but check this out, look at this.
Wow.
Cloudy, right? And look at the clam. Clam just like...
You can see all my food.
Okay, so in the past I've tried many different types of frozen food as well. For example, I have the tried and true P mysis P calanus. We got like, well, this is actually a freebie. And then we got like Cyclops, and then we got a bunch of different stuff. The Sally one, which is a little smaller measurement of mysis. We got mussels. We got Daphneus. This was for the Celestial Pearl Daniels. But these days, I have really consolidated into this right here. Again, not sponsored. I feel like for my use, any seafood mix will do. LLS has a great reputation. They have good products in here, and they do have PE mysis, which we all know is good stuff already. On the other hand, Rod's food I've used before I switch over to LLS. Equally good, at least from what I can see and what the cores respond to. I feel like both of them would do a great job, but for me, LLS for now. What I like to do is just kind of like break off a piece like this in the back. I would drop said piece, probably larger, let's do 2 pieces like this because we feed heavy. And then we're gonna add some water in here. Oh, shit!
What?
No, come back! Come back! No!
Phil! Catch it! It's coming up.
Not intentional. Alright guys, so for this part I shut off this gyre, so this minimal flow tank. I defrosted the LS frozen food in the little container and we should be good to go, and I got my monstrous, super long turkey baster, so I don't have to get my hands wet. What I like to do first is feed the fathead dendro, because usually within one feeding session I can feed them 2 or even 3 times, but they do take a little bit, they do take a little time to kind of suck in the food, so let's go ahead and get them fed first. So with my sweet, awesome turkey baster, I can just like squirt some of the food on the tentacle, and I have 2 colonies here. And the ones I miss is okay because look, the pally is picking it up as well. Let me see if I can. And usually the next thing I like to feed is the roast bubble anemone. But usually I do larger chunk. These are too fine. So let me see if I got like larger ones. And some of you guys ask, how do you get your roast bubble anemone so large? Well, I like to feed them, but not excessively. Right above it, I'm gonna feed the black widow as well. Try to get that large piece to them. And you see I'm just squirting random stuff out because this is also, anything that's missed by the anemone, it's just gonna be broadcast feeding as well. And the next one I really wanna feed and make sure it has some food is the Space Invader Bacteria right here. Look at that, the tentacles all out, they're ready for food. Man, made a mess, but that's okay. The feeling is I like to feed like small to medium pieces of food. We'll do the gold wool hammer in the back as well. It has recently recovered from the elk swing. I just kind of squirt on top, and it usually captures the larger pieces. And next we'll feed the gold torch. We got the Indigo torch right here and the Aussie gold torch in the back. And I'm trying to be a little gentle as well. See how the tentacle just reacts when food hits it. And usually by this time I also try to feed some of the zoas. And the zoa seems to go through stages. Sometimes, look at these, when the tentacle is long, see how they grab onto the food and close up around the food. But it's weird, certain times when they're not really reacting that much. So it's only when the zoas and pallies tentacle seems to be long, they tend to grab onto the food. Other times they're just kind of hanging out. And even when food goes across the surface, it doesn't hold on. So it's really weird, they go through stages. And my acans recently had a tough time with the, not elk swing actually, sorry, I misspoke. The salinity swing. I think I saw some of the tentacle out. So I'm gonna try to feed them right there. And coming over here, this little piece right here, used to be a beautiful acan at Miss Average Reefer's tank. But I don't know what happened, man. And she just kind of passed it to me. So I'm trying to throw some food in there and see if it takes any. The one in the back seems to be taking, the other one does not seem to be strong enough yet, so we'll just kind of leave it alone. We got the Kryptonite Candy Cane. Unfortunately, the tentacle is not completely out, so I don't think we can do too much, but I'll just squirt something in its general direction. If it does not take it, something else will. Alright, so that is pretty much it, and you see how delicate some of these cores kind of holding onto the food. It takes a while for them to pull the food into your mouth, and that is why it's so crucial that you either have really low flow or just completely shut off the flow for about 10 to 20 minutes in order to give it time to pull things in into the mouth. You know what? I totally forgot about the frog spot. Let's do that real quick. Kind of like randomly squirt pieces of food into the tentacles, and they just pour it into the mouth. They just capture and pull. And these guys are surprisingly sticky. And again, I just broadcast feed, and this is probably pretty excessive to a lot of you guys, but it has been working pretty well for my tank. Again, I'm keeping like softies, LPS, SOAs, and stuff like that. They tend to like dirtier water, so this works to my advantage. My laziness worked to my advantage in this tank. So know what kind of personality you got, and maybe keep that type of critters in your tank. And once the return pump turns back on, everything is gonna get pumped to the sump, and it's gonna, a lot of them is gonna get skimmed out. The ones that don't may make it into a refugium and feed the critters in there, and maybe bring it back and kind of cycle back up here. I do not have a filter sock or floss in place, so things will either settle somewhere in the tank and get picked up by the cleanup crew, or just decay and make the water quality bad, or just kind of make it back up here and something is gonna pick it off. So that is how I feed my tank. It's pretty haphazard and just kind of like a bunch of random crap. And look in the back of the tank, see that huge snail back there? That's a super Tonga serious snail. And this guy always comes out when I broadcast feed my tank, and he always hunts down all the loose food items that I have around the tank. And look, even the pistol shrimp is coming out trying to find food and taking a ton of. Yeah, so far this is how I feed my tank, and I do water change maybe every 2 or 3 weeks. Everything seems happy. Works for me. May not work for you, so make sure you pay attention to see how your corals and fish react to your feeding regimens. But this has been working for me, and I just want to share it with you guys. So that's one way to do it. Hope this is helpful. If you have a question, leave a comment below. If I cannot answer it, I'm sure somebody else will. Otherwise, I will see you next week.
Yo, too old. Too